Your dad, when you moved from U3, moved over to a farm? Your dad, when you transferred, you moved from U3, when you moved to a farm?
When he moved from U3, he went
Okay, I'm
down.
going to call the meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge and remain standing for a moment of silence.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence for those who've given their all, for first responders and military. Just a couple of quick announcements. Inga called this afternoon and she was taken to the hospital for dehydration. She was hoping to be back in time for the meeting, but she doesn't know how long it's going to take. So I'll keep her in our thoughts and prayers as well. A couple of thank yous. Thank you to Andy Schaefer and the borough staff for the smoke on the rails. Also to Public Works for all the efforts that they put in. Thank you to Public Works for the storm work and the limb pickup. And also a thank you to Penn Waste for waiving the limits on trash and for helping to clean up the borough in short order. I know the process isn't done yet, but we're getting there. So, public comment, visitors? Yeah, please.
Good evening.
I would push the button there on your microphone, and red light will come up.
Okay. Hold it down, right?
You don't have to hold it down. Once you push it, it's down.
Okay. Good evening. I am here because I have the personal care home on 101 South Broad Street, and I have a concern with the lighting situation. It is very, very dark on that street, and I have employees that come in at 10 p.m., leave out at 6 a.m., and it is extremely dark for them. And it's just basically like a safety concern, just a concern, period. So I was just here to ask if there could be any assistance with that, just having some lighting, just shine on that area of the block, if possible. Because like I said, I have, staff that's feeling unsafe when they come, from the parkway, the parking lot to the home. So that's just my concern and basically my ask for any assistance.
The parking lot is the back lot? I mean, it's on the property, right?
It's on the side. But that whole entire block is just pitch black. And we literally have to like use our flashlights or like on our phone and stuff to see, to walk up to the home. So that whole block is really, really dark.
I didn't get a chance to go down at night, but wouldn't parking lot lights work?
No, it's like a light post that's really, really old. I try to have somebody come look at it, but it's just, he basically said it's nothing, like he tried to do something with some, like test it, but it's just not working at all. So that's like the only thing, but the whole entire block is just so dark. I didn't understand why it's just like no lighting at all on that street, so.
Well, there's a light on the corner though, right?
Yeah, there's a
Barely,
light.
but it's pitch black for the whole entire street for the most part. If you come there, it's really like dark. As there's no lighting at all. I try to put little lights on the ground and stuff, but that doesn't work out too much because of the lawnmowers and stuff like that. But
And then the motion floodlight
on
the corner.
it was one on the side of the home. That too, something is going on with that. I try to have the same guy look at that. That isn't working right. So in the meantime, I'm just like saying if that could be some assistance until that gets situated, or I try to figure out what's wrong with it, because that light on the side of the house and the pole is really, really old. And I'm thinking that was like I don't know, that there before it was, because I don't know, I'm not from here, so it's like it's kind of different that it's not like street lights available. So that's why I was just like, maybe I can come to you guys, see what available, if that's even possible.
Just a clarification question. Are you asking us to help you with the parking lot lights, or are you asking us to put up a street light?
Oh, like just some lighting. I'm just concerned that it is so dark on that whole entire block. If some lights can be installed, then it'd be, you know, more lighting for the whole community, the whole neighborhood, really, because this just from like one corner all the way down at night. Besides like the little lights that's in front of, you know, their personal homes, but that still is just not enough lighting. So yeah, first with just the street, and if later on I can get that situated with the parking lot, if that's my responsibility, then that's fine, but something in that neighborhood, just as the township maybe, could assist with just some lighting for that street.
But we just have some people in the group here take a look at it at night, see what.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna drive past tonight and take a look.
Yeah, I'm gonna too, because that's where I lived, Borough and High. Now, the other thing you can do is just what I did. At Sam's, I got a pole light, put it out front. It's got 4 lights on it. I have it on a timer and put LED lights in there, and I guarantee you that's gonna light up your parking lot. Now, you may have to tap into whatever you said you had before that's not working.
Well, I didn't have it, I didn't own it before.
That would give you plenty of light for your parking lot.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't own it before last year, so
Right.
I don't know what, you know, that pole that was there is really, really dated. So I know that was there years and years and years ago.
Electrician should be able to see where that comes into the house if there was a light on.
We'll take a look at it.
Okay. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I just have a question. The last time you were here, you were looking to purchase it, and I just, from what you said, did you actually purchase it, or you the owner?
Not yet.
Okay.
In September, well, next month, the owner of the property and I are supposed to get together and try to figure something out from here. Because I had to have it as after a certain amount of time, and it's basically an initiation of me purchasing the property.
Okay, so
It's in a vacant.
possibly next month you might be the owner.
Yes, yes. So thank you, and also I don't want to like seem like I'm just running out, but I'm just on a break, so.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Gil.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Okay.
Do I count? Or do you want me to wait for my neighbors?
You can go ahead if you want.
Since you already gave accolades for Smoke on the Grove, our employees, and all the help that we had, council members I know I saw down there. I had the honor and privilege of going to the VIP Friday night event. And while I was there, Kristen Phillips Hill made a presentation. And again, I think this should go to Andrew and the Public Works folks. I'm just going to read it briefly. It says, in recognition of hosting its first annual Smoke on the Rail barbecue competition and festival held at Marge Goodfellow Park located in New Freedom, the 2-day barbecue festival features competitions, and it goes on to say about the Tennessee and American Royal in Kansas City, Missouri. As York County continues to lead in agriculture and tourism, Smoke on the Rail Festival benefits many of our local businesses who's competing from out of state will get a chance to visit and explore York County's rich history and the ever-growing tourism opportunities that abound. All proceeds from the event will be reinvested locally and used to develop a vibrant trail town community. Congratulations on hosting the first annual Smoke on the Rail Barbecue Festival. New Freedom and York Countyans look forward to continuing of this tradition. Best wishes for great food, fun, and all. Signed, Kristen Phillips Hill, State Senator, 28th District, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, dated June 28th, 2023. And this is a certificate from the Senate of Pennsylvania. Again, I think this should go to Andrew for display. And I really think that she deserves a round of applause. pleased. I know they worked hour after hour that weekend. And everything went great. Didn't have any trouble sleeping at night, they were quiet.
Good, thank you.
That's because you were into the slushies.
Yeah, slushies.
But thank you for putting that together. It was a great success.
Okay. Next on the agenda is approval of minutes for meeting July 10th. I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion,
Second.
a second, discussion.
I just have two additions on there under zoning and code enforcement. We had discussion on the current rental ordinance and that we would put it on the August agenda. That was one. And then for the 2023 Susquehanna Centennial, Burnell reported that he was looking at a baseball game that was going to be held at Veterans Park.
Yeah, that's so far, it looks like they didn't want to support that, so I don't think we're gonna be able to have it. Because that's, I just found that out not long ago.
After this month's minutes.
Like to amend your motion to include those two items?
Yeah, I was gonna wait and see if anybody else had anything else to add, but if there's nothing else, then yes, I'll make my motion for the addition of 2 items as listed by there.
I'll still second it.
All in favor?
All right?
All right.
Opposed? My vote is aye. Approval of the treasurer's report, June and July. Entertain a motion. Sorry? Okay.
I'll make a
We'll
mo-
start with June then.
I'll make a motion that we approve the June 2023 treasurer's report.
I'll second.
Discussion?
I just have a couple questions. On page 12, for the community center stage, building repair and maintenance, $1,236. Was the stage damaged and repaired?
We had to order additional pieces because there was an issue where someone decided to set the stage up themselves and damaged it, so there needed to be sections ordered to replace those.
We know who did that?
We have spoke to all 3 parties that had access to the building at that point, none of which apparently set the stage up. So none of them came forward and confessed that they set the stage up outside of direction from the borough staff.
Those just citizens or employees of the borough?
They were
or-
not employees of the borough. If they were employees of the borough, it would have been done right.
So we have people entering and just setting up the stage on their own?
Someone out of the 3 renters that had access to the building at that point set the stage up, each one passed blame on to someone else.
Was it an
That's a big
event that
expense.
weekend that happened?
There were, I mean, I guess this actually goes back to, I believe this goes back to May, possibly April. I have to look back through my notes. There were 2, possibly 3 events that weekend.
And it's in the general fund, and that's a community center item. Shouldn't it be in the community center for maintenance?
It was a purchase for the centers. Paid it out of the
And on that same page, a little lower down, we have HVAC service for the community center also for $55.50, and then a second HVAC service for $41.59. That's nearly 10,000 for HVAC coming out of the general fund again.
Were they
not
both
being-
for the community
not being
center?
accounted
or-
for in the community center
Were they
fund.
both for the community center? or-
They're not accounted for in the community center
Right,
fund.
I mean, we've gone through this before. If you notice, these are 452 account numbers, which means they are associated with the community center. However, maintenance on buildings comes out of the general fund. If we had to do something for the Public Works building or for this building, it would come out of the general fund and be earmarked by the first 3 digits on the accounting system to show where the money went.
But it gets lost.
No, you
And
can
everybody-
request a report anytime you want. You
No,
can ask
but-
Andy to run the 452.
At the end of the year, you'll say expenses for the community center were 54,000, but really they were like 110,000 because stuff like this gets lost in here. And I know I brought it up before, but I wanted to make that point again.
And again, I'll say, it doesn't get lost. It's attached to the 452 account, which is the community center account, but that's how we do our maintenance.
Then at the end of the year, the true community center expenses will be listed on our budget for the community center,
They are listed on your budget.
for the total, what it costs to run that with it, this sort of thing that gets put over in the general fund.
As we discussed in the past, that line item is marked community center expenses. So anyone that wants to see those expenses can look at that line item in the general fund. They can also look at the community center fund if you want to total those. But again, as President Bobby said, it's an expense for the building, which is owned by the borough.
If I'm looking at community center expenses and I get a treasurer's report out and I've got the whole year, I'm gonna be going to the community center expense and thinking that's the expenses for the year. That's just the point I'm making.
That's the problem with having an antiquated system up at the community center. It's not been taken care of. I mean, our guys did as much as they could with it, but one of these days it's just gonna be shot and it's gonna have to be replaced instead of repaired.
It was a good idea at the time, but I don't think it was appropriate system for the building.
I agree.
Any other questions on Jim?
Can you run for council next month the fire report so that they have that?
So the distribution of tax,
Yeah.
fire tax?
Yeah, the fire tax. I think they need to have, and be aware that out of our fire tax, the fire company only received $22,000 because of various expenses. And it's, I don't know, but it's not even keeping the lights on.
Yeah, we
So I
can
think
provide
we
that.
need to take a look at that if we could next month, put it on the agenda.
I just,
What was the total fire? 122, 117?
I want to say 103.
So out of 103, they got 22,000 because of the expenses. A lot of that was fuel, I understand.
A lot of it was fuel, and a lot of it was, again, when you look at that breakdown between fire and ambulance, you look at workers' comp, you look at fuel usage, it adds up quick.
And also, I've been told that they're really still having a problem with that gas pump down here.
Well, it was out with, when the cell tower was out.
Well, I mean, even before that, that sometimes their apps work, sometimes they don't.
on the table right now is approval of the Jim Treasurer's report.
I'm sorry,
You're okay.
I apologize, that would be under new business.
Anything else on Jim?
Yeah.
Jonathan? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? My vote is aye. Entertain a motion for the July Treasurer's report.
So moved.
Second.
First and second, any discussion on the July Treasurer's report?
On page 4, there's 8,000 in miscellaneous revenue, and it gets cut off. It says it's been transferred to something. What's the 8,000 from and where's it going?
That was just a transfer. It came, it went into the general fund. It needs to go out of the general fund into the water fund. So that's what that ACH deposit was.
So that's water?
Yep, that's the water fund. And that's just basically how the ACHs are received from the water and sewer payments. But in order to reconcile the account balance sheet.
Just for record, there's another 2,196 on page 12 for community center expenses. On page 13, there's some engineering fees. It just says engineering services for plan review, saldo. Is that for us? Is it for somebody? Engineer plan review?
Plan review relates to any plan applications that we get in the office.
So is that for
That would
a
be for a project.
project? Is that a, I'll just throw maybe the solar plant, you know, the solar thing that's gonna go in. Is it something like that? I
It would
mean,
be for land development. Yeah.
So-
Any subdivision or land development plan that needs plan review, which is almost every single one of them.
Pricey. I mean, I
Well,
think-
but that gets, the applicant has to establish an escrow up front, and then anything outside of that escrow, we bill to the applicant.
But I think we talked about it previously, actually, I know we did. Moving these columns over to get who these are for.
Well, in this case, it wouldn't be moving the column,
Or
but,
however, adding in
yeah.
slash.
Normally, as you can see down on the warehouse invoices, that is
Mhm.
included, so Pleasant Avenue Solar, Franklin Square, that one's there, so it just looks like it was missed on that one. But normally, yes, that's added, so it would cover and indicate what project it was for.
Over on page 17, there was engineering for water for 10,500. Is that us?
That was for the water system, yes.
What page you on?
17. What were we doing?
A bunch of different services were on that bill. There were some permits that needed to be applied for, that we needed to have assistance from Arrow to help out to accomplish that. General services as far as just general maintenance and chemical dosing and
The
issues.
engineer helps me?
Yes.
That's it.
Any other questions? All in favor? Opposed? My vote is aye. Okay, Chapter 225 zoning for sign regulations. Is there any?
No, I know Solicitor Jones provided.
I figure you're working on smoking the rails.
No, well, yes, but there's been, I know we're trying to make sure that that kind of aligns with some of the other items that we wanted to see and make sure it all comes together, so we don't have an update other than we're reviewing it to match it up to what's current.
On the stormwater channel on North Constitution.
We haven't heard anything as far as any additional permitting. We did have Public Works employees out televising those lines, stormwater lines off of Constitution Avenue, the two culverts that run down through the property, both of which are partially collapsed, not far off of Constitution Avenue. So there's definitely additional problems located upstream from where the pipe daylights were issues.
So they're leaking from other spots.
Well,
Is that what you're
the pipes
saying?
collapsed, and we
Collapsed,
couldn't,
right.
the public works staff and sewer staff couldn't televise the entire line.
Whose responsibility is that going to be?
That has to be the
Didn't
property
we decide
owner.
that that was gonna be the property owner because
So-
they put it in originally?
PennDOT has reviewed the situation and provided a technical assistance memo from the maintenance engineer of the district. They investigated the 2 culverts as well. Both of those culverts and crossings were replaced before the last paving project, which was just after the water and sewer work and gas work was done. But they only obviously replaced to the extent of the right of way. They note that the culverts were extended by the homeowners at some point. Neither the Commonwealth nor the borough has any indication or records that that pipe was extended by the Commonwealth or the borough at the time. So basically, what PennDOT is saying is that the borough has no obligation to address those stormwater issues on private property. This does not take into account that, we're still processing for those permits to do the work at the daylight to kind of assist, but in the end, there's no obligation to do so.
Are we gonna draft a letter to the homeowners so they understand that?
Council's decision on how to proceed. At this point, there's been time and money invested into just basically cleaning out the daylight of the pipe in order to establish positive drainage in that area. But as far as what's between Constitution Avenue and the daylight, that would not be the borough's responsibility.
If they do that on their own, would they need to involve PennDOT? Or DEP?
They're already involved, so I don't think, see how they could get away from
I thought that you had told homeowners that came in that you were going to get the permits and you were going to fix it.
Correct. And that's why I just said the daylight of the pipe and establishing positive grade and positive drainage from that, but the portion of pipe that's damaged and partially collapsed between point A and point B would still be the homeowner's responsibility, unless the borough were to choose to go in and replace those entire 2 lengths of pipe. At what point we would need to establish temporary and permanent easement through the properties.
Replace the daylight and the damage that's been created from it. To
Well,
their
you were talking about,
properties.
Andrew, just at the end of the pipe to allow it to drain whatever can come through the pipe. So
Right.
it's got free flow discharge at the end of the pipe. I mean, that's all we did,
Right.
is just allow that to happen.
That-
Pipe itself is another issue.
That's what the borough has applied for permitting in order to accomplish, yes.
But that's not gonna solve the problem of the water pooling down in the bottom of the yard.
Yes, it would.
Oh, it would? I
However-
thought we had to dig a trench down to the creek.
Well, that's what the permit application is. to do.
Oh, yeah, okay.
What we're
That's
saying
not gonna
here is
work.
there's no obligation for the borough to go upstream from that point towards Constitution Avenue to repair that pipe. That was put in by homeowners. Unless you were to choose to do so. And again, if you do that, we need to establish temporary construction easements and permanent easements with the homeowners.
And if you do that, it's yours forever.
Yes.
I would make the motion that we contact the homeowner for the upstream end of the pipe. It is their responsibility, and that would have to be a joint effort. Not recanting on what we're doing at the daylight end, but
How did the pipe get there?
It's not uncommon for property owners to install things and not tell anybody they're doing it. It sounds like that's what happened here. And that happened a lot in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, where people just did whatever they wanted. Didn't get permits, didn't apply.
That day, PennDOT put in the inlet, and they got a pipe out of the inlet, and it daylights,
Right.
it discharges, and the proctor said, yeah, we don't want it open, we're gonna put a pipe in and close it. And that's how that stuff happens, and they go ahead and do it, cover it up, and it's done.
That was Mr. Hitty.
I don't think there's anything wrong with asking them to repair the pipe that belongs to them.
Well, I mean, in theory, they wouldn't have to.
Why?
It's their, I mean, there's nothing.
You're saying they can just do whatever they want, repair it or not.
Right.
Correct. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right, I guess the motion should be that it's their responsibility to do whatever they want to do with the pipe, and then they'll take care of the daylight out.
And the damage that was done to their property.
It's self-inflicted.
Yeah, because the pipe was.
Not with what this council had told them when they were both sitting there, so that you would take care of everything, all the damage that was done, and the erosion and all of that. So I think there needs to be some further discussion with the homeowners before you go and start making motions on what you already said.
The area at the daylight is where the erosion and everything was taken care of, so that will be addressed.
So we said we're taking care of the problem that we said to the homeowner, but we're not taking care of the pipe from.
Underground.
Right, from PennDOT effluent to wherever it's crushed. So pipe that is on their property that is damaged needs to be repaired or replaced or not.
And there are yards that are rotting out,
Sorry.
the yards that are rotting out from the standing water at times when it rains and so forth, that's going to be repaired.
Yeah, Andy just said.
Just making sure.
So,
Will PennDOT, what will they do? Dig a trench that leads down to, I mean, what would you think they would do?
PennDOT's not gonna do
I
anything.
know.
PennDOT's not gonna do anything.
Yeah,
Oh, they're not gonna
as
do
far
anything.
as- As far as what's in their right of way, that has been replaced before the last paving project. It was 2 years.
The DEP will have to make the decision as to whether that water can flow down into the, that's the
I mean,
Cadores, that's the
well,
lower end of the
basically, it's there
Cadores.
now, but most likely they're not gonna tell them that connection has to cease. But there's going to be requirements that they're gonna have to go through.
Because right now it's not draining into the creek, am I correct? Isn't that the major problem?
It's basically a grade issue.
Right, which they tried to blame on building down at,
There's years
Franklin
of
Square.
sediment that have built up at the end of the pipe, and that's basically just causing the water to back up inside the pipe, which in turn backs up into their yards during high flow events.
I'll second the motion.
Is there any other discussion? Just to restate the motion, we're going to continue with the permitting and the daylight end of the pipe. And the homeowner would be responsible from the effluent road at PennDOT, pipe from PennDOT through the yard. That's on their property,
That you would repair the damage.
to the yard itself, at the daylight end. Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? I vote aye.
If I could suggest something,
Sure.
when you send that letter, send it with a drawing.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And say, this is yours and this is ours.
Yeah, that's a good
The
idea.
responsibility.
Drawings are always good.
Just make it that clear.
So both of these items will stay on unfinished business for next agenda. Approval of McDade subdivision plan.
This was already previously approved by
Oh,
council.
that's the signature.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we just have to get it reapproved because the time lapsed to get it recorded. So there's no changes, it was already approved by council, we just have to have a new date to put on the plan to get it to the courthouse. And I'm gonna start by putting them, and there's another plan over there that needs signatures from last month, that we have those over there, so please don't leave without signing those plans, so we don't miss these dates again.
So we have to make a motion to reapprove it.
Yeah, again, it's,
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Discussion?
Right, the date, freshman, who is this?
it's property owner, they're just doing a reverse subdivision, cleaning up lot lines.
A few months back.
Yes,
What street is that on?
that's up on,
Off of Third?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
All in favor?
okay.
Aye.
Opposed? My vote is aye. Solicitor?
I think we're gonna talk about my stuff in executive sessions.
Okay. Managers report for June, July.
Everybody has a copy of the report. Can answer any questions? Anybody has anything?
Yeah, this way. Remind everybody that the next meeting starts half an hour early, September meeting for the budget.
So the wastewater treatment for phase one. Is this, my understanding, you've already started phase one,
Design work. No, that's it.
design work,
Design and permit.
and this is another go-around of finishing that design plan.
Yes, as part of the scope of work, RK&K, and this is normal in larger projects that you have maybe a 30% completion, 50% completion, 90% completion. So that last meeting was a 90% completion review. So they had a couple of tweaks that they need to make to the plans before one final review before the project goes out to bid. However, it can't go out to bid until we have the permitting enhanced from DEP. So that's what's going to put the brakes on the project. Project.
It's normal.
And what is going on with the feasibility study, master site plan for Margie Goodfellow? You have your first meeting.
Brian, do you want to address?
Yeah, so we had, as of the packet, we've had one meeting. We just had our second meeting today. Today's meeting was really focused on looking at what New Freedom Borough and Shrewsbury Township have to offer already, and then from there they're going to come up with a basically a survey that will be sent out to both municipalities to see what other activities, amenities, features people would like. I'd say it's progressing along pretty good after the 2 meetings that we've had so far.
Do you have anything else on the manager's report? Okay, at this time, we have two police commission matters to discuss. So we're going to have to go into executive session to discuss them, and we'll be back as soon as we can.
Jingo steps. 324. Well, 717.
Well,
324. 2020. Someone called me. We tried to call, we called Friday. Ask him.
I think he's with Dave.
Okay.
He might be shadowing, but I'm not sure.
We were calling and say, hey, don't they need to make this or what?
oh,
You know,
I think I might have mentioned
That's
something.
unusual.
Carpet tile coming up right by the chair.
Oh, I see that.
Kim,
I'll call.
Kim,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
should you turn that off while you're gone?
Yeah, well, no, we'd really like to hear what you talk about.
thank you for reminding me.
Yep.